is my 8th Psalm video. I'm doing Psalm 84 right now. This Psalm is about a man who wants to go to Jerusalem but can't, or is having a hard time passing through to Jerusalem. He wants to go to the temple. Okay, he longs to go to the temple. He either can't go or he's having trouble getting there. And I wanted to talk about part 6. Psalm 84:6 says, "Who's passing through the valley of Baca? Make it a well. The rain also filleth the pools." So this is when people traveled to Jerusalem from far off, because everyone was scattered far off, and the tribes were scattered all over, and they had to travel to Jerusalem, and they would have to pass through the valley of Baca. So the valley of Baca, what was the valley of Baca? It was a valley of death, basically. They had to travel through to get to Jerusalem. It was the desert. It was a very dangerous trek to go get to God. And this man who wrote the psalm is talking about how hard it is and why he can't go. God also refers to this the valley of death is also the valley of Baca. Also, Baca means to weep, and it's also in the valley of Baca. Why is it called weep? Baca mean weep because in this area was the weeping tree, the mulberry tree. And also the mulberry tree doesn't have any fruit. It's a fruitless tree. That's what unbelievers are. You spent your life not teaching people about God. You became fruitless. Alright? And there's so much meaning of that. The valley of Baca is also a reference to hell a little bit. Okay? You have to pass through hell to get to heaven on earth. Okay? You have to go through trials and tribulations to get to God. Alright? You have to let go of all your demons, basically. Alright, so this valley of Baca in 2 Samuel is known as the valley of the Rephaim. Also, okay, it's called different things because God, over time, places get called different things. God warned you about that, okay? And also, you have to gather all the information together and see what it's talking about. The valley of Baca was also known as it was also previously known as the valley of the Rephaim. What's the valley of the Rephaim? That's where the valley of giants were. David slayed giants in this valley. So, and everyone knows that these giants, they're demons, okay? They are the remnants of the Nephilim, which were demons, okay? They're demons. Nephilim are demons. They're hybrid demons. So, these Jews probably literally had to go through real evil spirits in this valley, okay? Because when these things die, they just come in, their souls get stuck in the spirit world. This is also more metaphor that this valley represents hell, okay? Because these giants are demons, and the demons are in hell, duh. Okay, so that's also referencing that this valley is supposed to represent hell on earth, okay? But when you die, you're not getting out of hell, okay? I'm saying this is like a hell on earth because you have to go through trials and tribulations while you're alive to get to heaven, okay? So I think it's very interesting that this used to be called the Valley of the Giants, basically. And see, God has layered symbolism, so much layered symbolism. And the Valley of Baca, so they had the mulberry tree, but the mulberry tree, it doesn't have any, the weeping tree doesn't have any fruit, okay? It's a pointless tree. It weeps sap, so it's a valley of weeping. Do you guys get that reference? See, God uses multi-layered meanings to words so to expand your mind, to get you to think. Alright? To get you to think. So the Valley of Baca, it means passing through the Valley of Death. So throughout the Bible, it'll literally just say Valley of Tears, or Valley of Sorrow, or Valley of Weeping. Why in this case does God say Valley of Baca? Because God is trying to expand your mind, okay? This tree is also supposed to connect you to the tree in the garden, the bad tree, okay? And it's supposed to connect you to you. Are you being fruitless? Are you being a mulberry? And also it teaches you to look up stuff. God teaches, he uses the anatomy of animals. He uses trees, the types of trees. He literally, when you learn about the Bible, you learn about nature too. And it's a dualistic, God made nature so you could understand the Bible and understand him. He made animals so you could understand him in the Bible. Alright, when the Bible says everything was created for Christ, it is very literal. He made creation the way it is, and he puts things in the Bible like that to get you to understand a lot of different things. He uses his creation to get you to understand him. Alright, he made these plants and trees and animals on purpose to get you to understand the Bible so you can be saved. He literally did everything to save you. Okay, so it's important. Also, it's important that you don't change words around in the Bible. The King James Bible, it really is the true word of God. Alright, when you change words around, you're gonna be missing a lot of stuff. If some translations on this part, it just says Valley of Sorrow. It's not wrong, it is a Valley of Sorrow, but you're missing the Baca, which is supposed to tie you back to the garden, right? Right? You're going to be missing some stuff when you use different translations. It's supposed to tie you back to the bad tree in the garden, okay? Even though that tree did have fruit, it's trying to say you can't be fruitless, alright? You're the bad crop of Satan when you're fruitless. You're a weeping willow. You're sad. And you're in hell, okay? And you how did you get there? Because you were fruitless. Do you guys get all that thinking? See how the Baca just expanded I expanded my mind right now. It's supposed to expand your mind. Please don't mess around with the words from the King James Bible, because when you take words out, you're missing meaning, okay? Anyway. So the weeping willow, okay, that was in the Valley of Baca. That's why it says Baca. But also, there's a good side to the story. What does it say? Who passing through the Valley of Baca make it a well. The rain also filleth the pools. They go strength to strength. Every one of them in Zion appears before God. Strength to strength and make a well. Okay, so you're passing through the valley, okay, this desert, and you're supposed to be paving the way for other people behind you to get through easier. All right, the first person who did that was Jesus Christ. Okay, he was the living water. He was the river that paved the way to heaven. All right, and you're supposed to be the same way. On the way to heaven, through the valley of tears, alright, you're supposed to be paving, you're supposed to be planting wells along the way, so people behind you don't have such a hard time, have an easier time, right? You're supposed to be guiding people, making it easier, making their journey easier. You know how hard it was, so you have to make the other people's journey easier. Alright? Christ did it first, and also Moses and King David, they paved the way too, right? You have to be like them. You have to pave the way make a well, make a river, make rain for people behind you, alright? So they can once you are blessed, to be a blessing. Once you are blessed, be a blessing for other people. Make their way easier to Jerusalem, to heaven. How are you supposed to make a well in the desert? Your tears. Okay, there's some symbolism in that. You turn your tears into a blessing from people behind you. Turn your tears, the rain, into a well. You know how hard it was. You know the tricks of the desert. All right, you had to suffer through those really bad demons out there, so you can use your tears to help others, okay? God uses people's testimonies, right? Testimonies are people's trials and tribulations, and they tell people what things to avoid so they have an easier time, all right? Use your tears as a well, all right? Your sorrow, your stories, your trials and tribulations, your testimony can actually help people behind you have an easier time, alright? Your tears can be turned into a well, okay, for other people. There is no testimony without a test, alright? There's no testimony without a test. You passed the test, so you can go tell other people what pits to avoid in the desert, okay? What scary animals, aka demons, to avoid in the desert. Because you had to learn the hard way that those things were not there to help you, correct? Alright. Psalm 84:10. This is a pretty famous one. For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. I had rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. So this has a couple meanings. There's obvious one. Obviously, you'd rather spend one day with God than 1,000 anywhere else. All right, but also I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God. I think this is a lot talking about job titles too on earth. Like, if you are wicked, you're going to be pretty powerful on earth right now. Like, if you're a liar, cheater, and a thief, you're probably going to have a better job. Alright? If you care about making money, you're going to have money. Alright? Usually, not every time, and the Bible has the theme that if you're rich, it's not usually a good thing, okay? Having lots of power and money on earth right now is usually, God sees that as a sign that that you're not doing something godly. Okay, because power on earth usually comes from the devil. Alright. So, I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God. People who preachers and people who believe in God, they usually don't make a bunch of money. I mean, there's some bad preachers that make millions of dollars, but those are usually false preachers. I'm not saying it's a sin to make money, but usually, if you're a friend with the world, you're making more money from the world, right? Okay, so it's better to just have a job that God approves of, okay? Because trust me, being a real Bible believer isn't going to make you very wealthy in this world, okay? Being a preacher or being someone who values good over stepping on people for job promotions and stuff, alright? Usually people who believe in God, they have, their wealth isn't their priority, so they don't usually have a bunch of wealthy things. They don't have big houses, they don't have jets and stuff like that, okay? So when I say I'd rather be a doorkeeper, I'd rather have some simple job right now and be in God's good graces than go sell my soul to the devil to have a big house and a fancy car. Okay, that's one meaning to me. But another meaning is a doorkeeper. Again, this is messaging that you are supposed to be opening doors for other people to get into heaven. Open up those gateways. Open up those stargates, okay? In a good way, alright? Open up those portals to heaven, spiritually I'm talking about. Open up be a doorkeeper. Open doors for people. So you gotta build wells and open doors, okay? It's so funny because these sound like blue-collar jobs or something, but God uses them as importance, okay? And yeah, so you're supposed to be opening doorkeeper, all right? You're supposed to be opening doors for people in the house of God to go to heaven. Yeah, you're supposed. There's a lot of meaning in that. So yeah, so you're supposed to be building wells and opening doors for people, all right? You're supposed to be making it easier for them to get into heaven, to go to Jerusalem, to go meet God. All right. So think about it. Selah. Selah means think about it in the book of Psalms. So Selah, think about it. All right. Thank you.